I think it's very important to know when your best, most creative hours are and to maximize that time and not waste it responding to emails and doing low-level work.
How important is having a mission statement for your business, in your company, and in your life? Or all three? Should you have the same mission statement? What is like a common issue or a common challenge that needs to be overcome to get to the next level?
My approach is less about mission statement, more about what are the things that you need to think about to feel more alive every day.
All right, so we're here with transformational CEO, founder, coach, Jack Craven. He's going to talk to us about living all in it today. And that's something I want a little bit more of. So Jack, thanks for coming on the show here today.
Mark, it's really my pleasure. Excited for our conversation.
Me too, because I'm actually going through a personal transformation here. I was just talking to you a little bit about this in my marketing and podcast agency. How do we get from 6 figures to 7 figures? And one of the things that I've really started to focus in on since yesterday is waking up early. Waking up early. Tell me, can I be successful without waking up early?
I think you can. I think it's whatever your cycle is. I'm also an early guy, Mark. I woke up at 3:09 today, and I've been going at it ever since. And I've had a great day today, Mark.
3:09. When did you start that habit of waking up early?
As long as I can remember. I'm a person who only needs 5 hours of sleep. That's just been the way I've kind of been wired my whole life.
Well, good for you. I've always been an evening guy, but when I look around at successful people, it seems to be a common denominator. 98% of them are waking up early. And I've also started to get into this process of trying to get into deep work, this concept of deep work, being able to sit down and really get into maximum focus without the kids coming in and the phone ringing and whatnot. How important is that for an entrepreneur to get into a deep work cycle?
I think it's very important to know when your best, most creative hours are and to maximize that time and not waste it responding to emails and doing low-level work.
Well, so how do I assess that? Because I think, a lot of times it's easy for, I was reading Atomic Habits by James Clear last year, and it's kind of like it's easy for us to say these things like, oh, well, I'm not a morning person, or I'm not a runner, or I just don't like reading. Like, it's easy for us to put ourselves in these boxes, which I don't necessarily think are helpful. But how do we know, like, when we're actually in the correctly defined box or not?
I don't believe that we're in boxes. I think that boxes are ways we limit ourselves with our beliefs. I would offer that you're not an SEO expert yet, or use language like that rather than something that's going to limit you. Like, I'm not an SEO expert. I'm not a great public speaker. I don't know when I'm most creative. I would add the word yet. I would experiment. For me, while I'm a morning person, my afternoon bike ride is one of the times that I'm most creative. I first download all that I kind of had in the day, kind of release that. And then I begin to think of clients or situations, and my creativity starts to kick in. And then I record all of my ideas on my iPhone while I'm biking.
I dig that. I'm curious, one of the things that I've actually become obsessed with, and all the listeners to the After Hours Entrepreneur know this, is AI. And I'm not going to go way down the rabbit hole yet. I might, I don't know. But one of the things that's really cool to me is the new way that ChatGPT 4 Omni works. ChatGPT 4o, you can speak to it and it will speak back to you. I'm curious, have you tried having a conversation with this thing? Because I'm like you, I'll go running, I'll get an idea and I'll email myself. But now I'm thinking maybe I should just pop open ChatGPT 4 Omni and start having a conversation with it back and forth to help flesh out those ideas even more deeply.
What I love about it, Mark, is you're a person who keeps trying new things. I think that's the way we learn and grow. What I actually tried today for the first time on ChatGPT 4, whatever level version of it was, is I downloaded all of my client notes for a newer client for this year. And I said, tell me what the highlights and the themes of this client are. Within 10 seconds, it popped out 8 themes. And Mark, it was pretty damn accurate. And it highlighted a couple things that maybe I knew sort of, but it highlighted it to me right away. And so that becomes the work that I'll be doing with the client and our focus in these areas.
Which is amazing, by the way, being able to take all these transcripts from old meetings and just consolidate them down. I saw the guys over at the All In podcast. They consolidated down like 200, 300 episodes of podcast. And now they have it all indexed, which, by the way, when it comes to using ChatGPT, because this is like to me, one of the most exciting things for consultants, coaches, in my world as well, in production, in marketing is, if we can get people, if we have people fill out forms on like key problems, fears, I want to talk about fear a little bit, mission, goals, life vision, these types of things, we can have people answer these questions, as open as and creatively as they'd like. We can automatically send the information over to ChatGPT using Zapier or like a high level software integration. Can automatically get tons and tons of information that's extremely valuable, because I don't know about you. How long does it take you, Jack, when you're first meeting someone to actually get into like the down and dirty? Like, how long does it typically take to meet someone and then actually to start breaking the shell open?
My goal is within 10 minutes. And
10
so
minutes.
It starts with asking probing questions and then following my intuition. There's something that goes on within me, Mark. It's part of my intuition, which is a little voice that says, go there. They may be saying 15 things to me, but I'm going to pick out the one or two, which I'm just feeling like there's something more there. Keep probing there and see where it takes you.
Yeah, I dig that. And again, I'm just always trying to hack, and this new way of like automating this AI questions and strategy, and like, leverage all the tool, like leverage Donald Miller's story brand framework, or leverage Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich strategy, and contrast it with these problems is pretty amazing. Which speaking of which, Jack, you're working with these high performing CEOs and founders. Do you notice that there's common problems that they have? Because, obviously we need to transform to get to the next level. What is like a common issue or a common challenge that needs to be overcome to get to the next level?
Most of my clients have financial success beyond what they ever dreamed. And what they've realized is that the level of satisfaction, the level of balance in their life isn't what they wanted, even at the level of success that they have. And so then they're kind of stuck. They're not sure, what is it that I'm missing that I'm not getting? And that's where I help them. I help them uncover what matters most to them. I help them uncover what their behaviors are and what their habits are that are maybe blocking them, that are potential blind spots. And I help them have the courage and the clarity to take action.
I got to be frank, as someone who spent the first 35 years of my life as an employee, and really just the last few as an employer, clarity is hard to come by, because it feels like there's always something new. And that's one of the challenges. I was kind of talking about the benefits of having a podcast like this, is I get to bring on the hottest minds in the world to say, hey, what would you do with this problem? How would you solve that problem? How are you using AI here? How are you using AI there? It's very helpful to me selfishly, but it's like I bring on someone, they have this awesome business model. I'm like, well, I'm just going to, that's amazing. I want to do what he's doing or what she's doing, So finding clarity on exactly what I want to do is tough. Let me ask you this, Jack. How important is having a mission statement for your business, in your company, and in your life, or all three? Should you have the same mission statement? What do you think about mission statements? How important is that to an organization?
If it matters to the person and it helps them get what they want, then I would say very important. I would also say that, to be candid, Mark, I don't work on mission statements. It's not something that I do. If we're talking about clarity, one of the things that I help with leaders is to help them realize that they actually have three centers of intelligence: head, data and information; heart for relationships and emotions; and gut for sensations in your body. And the more that you can access all three of those centers of intelligence, the better the decisions you'll be making. Each of those centers of intelligence brings a different type of wisdom. When you can use all three, you're making way more powerful, way more clear decisions.
Which one's more important? Head, heart, or gut?
They're all
murder, marry, kill.
I think that depending on the situation, they can all be just as valuable. And I'm not just saying that as a write-off, but it actually is the truth. I think that different people have a primary area that they rely on. And I'm here to tell them that if they are able to access those other two centers that they may not be using as much, they're going to be making better decisions. They're going to be way more powerful than they thought they could be.
Okay. I dig that. So basically what I'm hearing you say is murder the heart, marry your head, and date your gut. Is that murder, marry, kill, murder, marry, date, something like that? That's how it goes. Yeah. At the end of the day, you got to go with your gut, right?
I'm a gut person myself. And I think that a lot of people don't fully trust their gut. And so it's it's having a trust in all three centers, I think is going to make you a better decision maker. And sometimes, Mark, I've been better able to access my heart, and it leads me to more compassionate, different kinds of approaches than I would without.
Sure. Sure. Well, and I mean, I think, not going down the mission statement type of framework, but in the marketing world, like emotions move people.
Absolutely.
Emotions move people.
Absolutely. And so if I may, my approach is less about mission statement, more about what are the things that you need to think about to feel more alive every day. And I want people to be, to me, that's almost like your personal mission statement, which is what are the traits that I need to feel or think about every day to put myself in a position where I can feel alive and then take on the world that way. Bring that sense of aliveness into your day-to-day experience. For example, the things that I think about every day are play, connect, learn and grow, have impact. And I think about those things multiple times throughout the day. When I think about those four things, it brings out the best version of me wherever I'm at.
It's really hard. This idea of like work-life balance. I've got two kids, 5 and 8, and that time flies. But I've got a growing business right now, so I'm always being pulled in two ways. Not to mention my wife. She needs attention, right? Mm-hmm. Obviously, all the fathers out there, all the husbands get that. You don't even need to be a husband to understand that your woman needs attention, right? So you got kids need attention, business needs attention, your partner needs attention, your personal well-being, your body needs attention. Which by the way, insane to me that we're spending a third of our life sleeping. It's like the ultimate joke, right? And I don't know. I think that a lot of entrepreneurs out there think that, well, I need more time, I need more efficiency, I'm just going to cut sleep. To me, that's kind of a risky move, no?
I think it is. I think sleep and rest are things that if we talk about challenges with entrepreneurs, it's that they think that they have to be more. And they ask me, like, what tools do I have to be more productive? And while I think that there's certainly value to people like David Allen getting things done and all things like that, what I'd rather have them do is think, what are they doing? What's taking up your time and attention that is not serving them, that is not aligned with their main mission and purpose, and being ruthless with their time. And I would say that 99% of my clients, when I first meet with them, are sloppy with their time. They're spending their time based on maybe fear or other areas which are not serving them. And I really like the model. If it's not $10,000 an hour work, you need to be thinking how I can offload it. And that's a great kind of way for leaders to begin to identify, this isn't serving me, spending my time doing, I would say, $100 an hour work.
So fear is interesting to me. I've got a 6-figure business. To get to 7 figures, it's going to take risk. Give me an example of fear. What are the common fears that you're seeing? Or give me better yet, give me a story of someone. Tell me someone who had this fear that they needed to overcome. And what did they do to overcome it?
So I'll give you a common one. Mark, we have 3 core needs: approval, control, and security. So most of our fears are going to be tied to one of those things, if not all 3 of those things. I'm working with a leader who is a hired gun for a company, and he's continuing to seek the approval of the founder, who's kind of chairman emeritus. And one of the things that we're working on is him letting go of the need for that approval and stepping into his power and trusting all of the success that he has, and to let go of that. And so it's first identifying what is the fear that's underlying this, tying it to approval. How can I seek and source that myself? And what are steps that I could take to not only have compassion for myself, but to begin to own the traits that I have that really bring out the best in me and bring out the highest and best version of myself.
But doesn't, like in a case like that, I mean, which is interesting, but don't you kind of need the approval of the founder, the CEO of the company, or else they're going to fire you because you don't get their approval? Or is it kind of one of those matters of, hey, you hired me, the expert, to do the job. Do you want to hire me to do it the right way, or do you want to hire someone else to do it the wrong way? Or is there a balance? Like, how do you attack that?
I think there's a balance, but there's an idea that I really try to give my clients, which is neediness is not an attractive thing. And so you need to show the balance of not being so arrogant, but that you're comfortable in your own skin. You're not seeking others' approval. It's almost like the thing of, I don't need it. And therefore, I think that by him showing to the founder that he doesn't need it, the founder actually respects him more, is what he has
Yeah.
found.
Yeah. Well, then I think anyone operating at a high level, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't really appreciate yes men too much, or yes women, or whatever. If you just say yes to everything, it's kind of like, well, I mean, I know I'm right about everything, but at least challenge me on something.
Yeah.
And I actually just hired this young lady the other day. This is actually pretty cool, by the way. I put out a listing on a marketplace for someone to help out with email marketing. And what typically happens, I get overwhelmed with applicants. And what I did was I had all the applicants fill out a form. The form sent all of their answers over to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT ranked them from 1 to 10. And I gave ChatGPT the prompts. I told it what I was looking for and different criteria, ranked them from 1 to 10. Instead of interviewing 24 people, I talked to 3 people, and this one girl was excellent. And when I got on a call with her, one of the things I rarely experience with new hires is that she was actually like giving me pushback on my ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I love that. Please push back, because if you're not pushing back, then I'm missing out on what other people are pushing back on.
Yeah, I think there's really something to that. I would say that all of my clients are open to feedback like you're talking about. And I would say that many leaders do not want to be challenged. They want people just to go along to whatever they say. I also tell leaders, and I told one today who just got a kind of a challenging 360 back, is that the more you can be open to feedback, that leads to hockey stick transformation. No matter what you do, it's hard to, on your own, identify your blind spots and make that kind of growth. You'll make progress. But when you're open to people really challenging you and telling you what you're like, when you're reactive, when you're not being your best, and you're open to that and recognizing this is how you grow, you will transform.
Yeah. There's this song that came out in the 90s by Mary J. Blige where she says, I wouldn't change my life. My life's just fine, 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 fine. And I'm like, okay, like, it's nice to feel good, but you are not fine the way you are. I just want to like scream at her, like, no, you're not fine. You need to get better. You need to transform, you need to improve. I mean, that's important. That said, if someone just breaks up with you or someone tells you you're crap, then okay, you need to have some empowering songs, but
Mark, that's your worldview, if I may. And
sure.
I appreciate that. And I value that. And what's really been a wake up to me is not everybody feels that they have that same worldview. Some people feel I'm doing what I want. I don't want to change and grow. It's the way I want to operate. And literally, like, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, whatever. This is who I am. And that's more of a fixed mindset. And I really encourage my clients to have more of a growth mindset.
Well, and I think it's important, especially now in 2024, where AI, tech, automation. I just posted a video on YouTube the other day. Walmart is planning to automate 63% of their stores within the next 2 years.
Oh.
There's already a McDonald's in Walmart, by the way, the largest employer in the United States. McDonald's, the number one fast food shop in the United States, maybe in the world at this point, they have a fully automated McDonald's in Texas right now. There's not one human in that McDonald's.
Incredible.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Like, and you think that you're just fine? Like all the people out there, let's be frank. Most people watching and listening to this show, they know that there's room to improve. There's always room to improve. But man, if there was ever a time to need to improve, now's the time. The data is striking. Shocking.
And I think what's important with this, and I'm certainly not an expert in AI, Mark, is to look at this. How can this help me? Not only as an individual in learning, how can it help me integrate it into my business? And the quicker and more readily that you can figure that out, you'll be ahead of the pack. And what I've recognized my entire life, from being an assistant state's attorney to running a business to being a coach, separate yourself from the pack. What do I need to do to differentiate myself so that people, when they meet with me within 10 minutes, they think that person's memorable. I took something from them. They are different from most of the other people I've met in their industry.
Be different. I like that. Be a blue ocean, right? Yeah, being different. So what is it like working with you, Jack? If I said, you know what, Jack, I want to actually go a level deeper with you, what does that look like? How do I get started?
It starts with the conversation. And really the first thing is, and these usually take about a half an hour, is we'll have a conversation about what's going on in your life. And I like to ask people, what's a current challenge that you're facing? Rather than telling them this is how I coach, I give them a coaching experience. And within 10 or 15 minutes, they're going to have a pretty good idea. And I'm going to make multiple points and insights about areas that I believe that they may not see, as well as maybe potential that they might have. And my goal is to be memorable, to have them think about our conversation and to think, I want to have another conversation with Jack because I think this person can help change my life.
I dig that. And quite frankly, it's hard to get conversations like that. I'll talk to my wife and she just doesn't really, love her, but she doesn't want to talk business with me. I go out, I'm at a party with some friends or whatever. They're all a drink and they don't want to talk about business, right? Then maybe Bitcoin. Maybe I can get them talking about Bitcoin a little bit, but that's about as far as they'll go. And it's like, it's difficult to have those conversations. And frankly, if you're not being challenged, I think you're not going to get the transformation that you need. You're not going to be that butterfly that you need to be. You're not going to face the fear that you need to face.
Yeah. Mark, I'm a member of Young Presidents Organization, have been for 17 years. These are all CEOs from across the globe. I also lead over probably 15 to 20 retreats for YPO forums and all CEOs. So I'm meeting people for the first time at a remote location, and I've got 6 hours to blow them away. So from the get-go, I am bringing the heat and I am challenging them. And I tell them out of the gate, I am here to be provocative, not just for sport, but to help them see their lives differently, to challenge their limiting beliefs, to get more value from their forum and to get more transformation in their lives. And to be honest, I'm really proud of this. I've got a pretty great track record. My average score is about a 4.8, 4.9 out of 5. And I do that because I bring the heat out of the gate and I understand their challenges. And they know that underneath it all, I care and I want to help them grow.
Dig that. Well, Jack, I appreciate you sharing some of your nuggets of wisdom, not knowledge, wisdom, actually applicable stuff here. And I definitely encourage everyone, make sure you check Jack out at jackcraven.com. That's jackcraven.com. It pulls right up. Which, by the way, is an important piece of your personal brand, jackcraven.com. Jack, thanks for joining the show here today.
Mark, what a pleasure. Thank you so much.